This is the Water Quality Management Committee meeting on October 25th, and the meeting is now called to order. Recognize most of the attendees today. Reminder that if you make a comment, you should identify who you are and where you're from for the record. We're going to start off today with an update on the watershed permit notice of intent application. I think that's you, Kristen, or am I doing that?
I assumed it was going to be Amy since the ball's in her court. She's not here. I spoke with Amy.
You want to go to the microphone so you're getting picked up? You got a microphone?
I got stuff here.
Okay.
I spoke with Amy earlier in the week. There hasn't been any significant changes or movement on the notice of intent plan since last it was presented here. So nothing to report.
Sort of sitting tight on it till after
Here's
town
Amy
meeting,
now.
probably.
Amy's here now.
Amy didn't think she was talking today, so that's why I was asking. She asked what the item was.
I just said that there's nothing new to report on the notice of intent progress and that nothing has changed significantly since it was presented here at the last meeting.
I did speak with you, and I'll tell the rest of the board that based upon the last meeting where we were trying to walk through the notice of intent schedule and the deadlines in it, I noticed that a lot of the meeting members wanted to get into details for individual watersheds, and I've suggested to Kristen that she start putting together and would bring to successive meetings individual watersheds to say what we think are the issues in that watershed, what we think might have to be inside a watershed plan, and get this board's input on watershed by watershed over time, and not try to have 14 of them all lumped together one day, but, you know, individually, these are things that people have questions or concerns about, so we gather that information over time between now and probably early February or mid-March, early February to mid-March, be able to say, these are the things on the watershed, so. I've left it up to Kristen a little bit for which watersheds she wants to start with, the hard one or the easy one, but expect to see packages coming forward for each watershed so we can talk about it. And then that will help to inform Amy and DPW as they're putting out scope of works and everything, expectations for each watershed, okay? The second item on the agenda is the urine diversion. I referred to as a town meeting preview. There is a petitioner's article, Kim, that you've put together. This board has not really had an opportunity to talk to elements of any of the proposals out there about urine diversion. I know that yesterday or late the day before that, we finally saw another proposal from the SMAS Test Center, and that if that hasn't been distributed, it will be distributed around for people to look at. Background here is a couple of us met with Kim 2 weeks ago now, or 2.5 weeks ago, and
Yeah, two
Kim
and
had
a
a-
half, two and a half,
had a
almost
thought.
3 weeks ago. It was a Thursday, 3 weeks
Kim
ago.
had a thought about should we jumpstart urine diversion a little bit more, and that may involve some type of amendment or approach at town meeting floor. So I thought it was appropriate to let Kim say what he's thinking.
Yeah.
And what he would like to do. And then I would ask this board, beyond their point of discussion, we need to, even though it's the late hour before town meeting, we need to either say we support Kim's position, we don't oppose it, or we oppose it. I think there's 3 choices in there.
The first one sounded good.
The first one sounds good. I just wanted to frame where we're at and you know, the need for some sense from this board about an amendment on town meeting floor that is anticipated and where this board is relative to that, okay? So,
Okay.
that, Kim, it's
Great.
your
So it's Kim Comart from the Falmouth Pond Coalition. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the Article 13 petitioners, which includes the Green Center, Falmouth Pond Coalition, and several individuals. As you may be aware, our article, which has been endorsed by the Select Board, asked town meeting in November to advise the Select Board to authorize a urine diversion pilot project. We submitted that article prior to the town's August 25th warrant article deadline, But that was 3 weeks before a group of us, including members of this committee, and Kristen and Amy, had a virtual meeting with the Department of Environmental Protection staff on September 13th, about 3 weeks after we needed to submit our article. All of us came away from that phone call encouraged and optimistic by DEP's interest in exploring the benefits of urine diversion. We were particularly pleased that DEP was encouraging us to skip the pilot phase and move directly to a provisional study phase. In a conversation I had with Brian Horsley very soon after that meeting, he suggested that Falmouth would be wise to prepare for that study by undertaking an education and outreach campaign to publicize the study, recruit potential participants, conduct informational meetings to allow people to learn about the study, and conduct in-home assessments for homeowners who demonstrate a strong interest in participating. Those in-home assessments, and I want to just share an example. I had an in-home assessment by a guy named Connor Lally. If you could just go through it and pass it along. This is a typical example of what we're talking about as an in-home assessment. It's a 15-page document that essentially are designed to determine the feasibility of that home for inclusion in the study, the appliances they might install, the potential cost for the purchase and installation of those appliances, including a urine collection tank in the basement or buried in the yard. Brian noted in that conversation that MassTech's expertise is in the science. They do not see themselves conducting the outreach, education, and the in-home assessments that would be required. Brian's recommendation, to me, made perfect sense. Why wait for DEP approval of the study before conducting these essential preparatory activities? As Ken Foreman noted to me in a very brief conversation when we bumped into each other in the supermarket,
All good meetings should occur.
Yes.
Minor damage to both
Yes,
parties.
it was by the fish counter. It made sense, in his words, to quote, this is a term he used, to tee up the project, so we're ready to go. The idea is to use the next few months to make progress so that we're more prepared to hit the ground running when we get the green light from DEP. Teeing up the project includes conducting outreach to potential study participants, including identifying homes with currently installed urine diversion appliances or other systems that may qualify for inclusion in the provisional study. And just so you know, we have 62 people who have signed up to attend the informational meetings. Probably think 56 of those are Falmouth residents and a few from Mashpee and Sandwich. The second part of teeing it up is conducting informational presentations by project consultants. Third is identifying potential consultants who are going to do this, develop the information materials, conduct the informational sessions with interested homeowners, and then conduct the in-home assessments, looking at the bathrooms, looking at the plumbing, looking at the septic system location, and discussing appliance options and making recommendations. This assessment would also include which bathrooms do you use and how frequently do you use them. And, you know, Mike Duffany said to me he would like to just do one bathroom that gets 90% of the use instead of having to, change all the appliances in his house. A fourth, and then also estimating the costs, which this document does that I handed around, for purchase and installation, as well as identifying potential contractors and starting to line up contractors who could install these appliances. Another aspect of this pre-work is working with the State Plumbing Board, which has been a topic of much conversation. It needs to be more conversation about that, to secure approval for urine diversion devices that could be used in the study. And then finally, identifying and addressing other regulatory issues, including with the Falmouth Board of Health, the Building Department, the Plumbing Inspector, Mass Department of Agriculture, et cetera. So this is the cover page of the proposal that, the new proposal that MassTech submitted. And this is the scope of work that MassTech has included in their new proposal. And I have highlighted that for a few of these, identifying the participants, completing the assessments, and for those two, MassTech does not see itself doing that work, and actually hasn't even included funding in the budget for those. So the So this is work that, again, is outside the scope of Mass Tech, and we're suggesting that this amendment that I'm going to talk about would allow for this pre-work. The Coalition and the Green Center are prepared to amend our warrant article, and this amendment would ask the town a town meeting to approve an $80,000 budget that we have developed. And I'm going to give you, if you could just pass these along. So there's two documents. One is the actual budget, and one is the proposed amendment. So, and I also wanted to say that, as with the previous Echo Toilet project that was done in 2012, we're proposing that consulting services be used for locating, guiding participants, and sort of what I've talked about. This is language from the Mass Tech proposal, right here. This is what they're saying is that they want to use consultants to assist with aspects of the project, and the Falmouth Pond Coalition and the Green Center would be involved. So, in a recent conversation that I had with Steve and Ed, I asked Steve when he thought DEP might approve this application. And I was actually surprised, and Steve said it could be as early as January 2024. So for me, and I think for us, that's all the more reason to get moving on this, so that whenever DEP does approve the application, whether it's January, February, March, whatever, that we have done as much of the preparation as we can in order to hit the ground running when we get that approval. While we understand that the full project and project budget are works in progress and will require approval and funding through the town's finance committee, town meeting, select board, this is not different than the process you're pursuing on the outfall pipe and the next sewering project for which you're seeking funding in November. For the outfall pipe, you're requesting funding that you've identified as necessary preparation for the project, asking the town to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in a project that hopefully you hope will come to pass, but there's a chance that you'll spend all that money on the preparation, and the project the outfall pipe won't come to pass. You're also asking town meeting to approve $3.8 million for the design and permitting of sewering, steps that you see as necessary preparation for the next step in a project that is also not guaranteed to happen. So as with projects like this, there's always a risk that you'll invest funding and the project won't come to fruition, but you and other town officials have made the determination that this pre-work makes good sense. The idea is to move these projects forward with all deliberate speed and with the pedal to the metal. We're suggesting that same approach be applied to the urine diversion provisional study, i.e., do the work now that will be required in order for the next phase of the project to move forward without unnecessary delay. Although in this case, the money would certainly not be wasted. Even if the DEP study were not to happen, there would be much greater awareness in town about urine diversion. 75 homeowners would have had assessments and identified a course of action, and many of them would probably install urine diversion fixtures and thus help reduce nitrogen loading in our waters. We're asking you to vote to endorse this expenditure, this $80,000 expenditure, and endorse this amendment to Article 13 to this effect. Your endorsement and your active campaigning for this amended article would make it much more likely to win approval in November. If you decide to endorse this article, we will ask you to include information in the letter you're sending to town meeting members and your appearances at town meeting precinct meetings in early November. So that's our request, and we want to thank you for your work and hope you'll support this request, and look forward to working with you on this project. And I'm glad to answer any questions. But you have attached there, which I will read, because the folks in the audience don't have it. So our amended Article 13 Right now, our article asked the select board to, asked town meeting to advise the select board to authorize the urine diversion pilot project. This amendment says, to see if the town will vote to advise the select board to appropriate $80,000 of certified free cash to finance outreach and education in advance of a planned 4-year urine diversion provisional pilot project to be conducted via cooperation among the Falmouth Departments of Public Works and Public Health and the Mass Alternative Septic System Test Center in support of the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan, and to determine how the same will be raised and by whom expended, or do and take any action on the matter. So that's the language of our proposed amendment.
Before I turn to the board and ask them for comments, have you run the proposed amendment by the town moderator
Not yet,
or the town council?
not yet,
You should,
yeah,
just to be sure that it's
yeah,
in the proper form.
Right,
And
right.
it's appropriate, but
yeah, we did consult when we wrote our last article, and we'll do that again.
you need to do that just to make sure.
We just did this today.
I got you.
Okay,
I'm advising you. How's that?
yeah, I appreciate
You
it,
don't want to be on the floor and find out that
yeah,
it's not acceptable.
yeah.
I'll start with you, Steve.
Kim, this may be nitpicking, and I'm no expert on articles or town meeting, but this page that you were just quoting says, draft amended Article 13, and then there's that paragraph. That looks to me like that's the new Article 13 in its entirety, not a paragraph that adds to what we already have in Article 13. I don't think that's what you intend.
Right, we essentially would propose to replace the current language in the article, and we'll find out from town council and the moderator how to do this. We want to replace the language that's in Article 13 now, and this would be the amendment. This would be the new article.
But it's all about the urine diversion. It's nothing about what we had in Article 13.
You didn't have
We don't
anything in
have
Article 13.
We don't have anything in Article
You
13.
don't have
Oh,
our,
ours is 6, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
this is
told you I
our
didn't know.
article, this is the petitioner's article that we submitted, and that is in the warrant book.
But then I misunderstood you before, because I thought you were saying that if we agree to this, it increases the number of votes for our article.
No.
That's not what you meant.
What I meant to say is that we feel that with your endorsement, this would have a much better chance of being supported by town meeting than without your endorsement. That's what I meant.
I misunderstood you.
That's what I meant.
Right. But you've also, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, that was a fantastic meeting that you ran.
Thank you.
In one of the invitations to it, or one of the follow-ups, I, again, may be mistaken, I thought you were opposed to Article 6.
No, I didn't oppose Article 6.
Okay.
I did say that I don't think there should be effluent discharge into, that could damage freshwater ponds in that area, but I did not oppose Article 6. I do, we don't feel good about the discharge, but we have not opposed the sewering.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Any other comments from the board members? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I would move that we support this article. I think it is exactly the right start to take.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any comment or discussion on the motion made and seconded?
Steve, could I just comment?
Yes, you can.
Kim, I think one of the things that's really important is Mass Tech has proposed a really good science project. And to my mind, what was missing is what you're exactly proposing here. In other words, we've got what we want to do scientifically, but how are we going to put together the program that we're actually going to test?
Right.
And it seems to me that's what this is attempting to accomplish.
Yeah, that's our purpose.
Am I allowed to take comments from the public at this point on the article, on motion? I think I am, right?
You're the chair.
No, I'm not an expert on Robert's Rules of Order, but if I forgot to ask for comments before I made the motion, I'm gonna open it up anyways, and I'll be told need to read Robert's Rules of Order later.
I think it's okay.
Earl, you wanna step to the lectern? I guess I should ask for the comments.
Stephen Layton had a good point. Sometimes an article is presented to the town meeting and an amendment is presented, and the town meeting members have the option to not take the amendment, but they can take the original article. If we put these two things together in one article and it's defeated, you lose the original article. So I'm not sure what's the best approach to getting the original article approved, which is just general approval of the concept, and getting money approved, which could be the amendment.
Are there any other?
Yeah, I guess that's a question, because I don't know what you put into the original article.
Yeah, you got a copy of it last time.
Oh, well,
But that's why I directed him to make sure he checks with town council.
yeah.
And whatnot.
It's so simple, it's just, the town meeting advises the select board to authorize a urine diversion pilot project.
Okay, with no money amount messed
No money.
with.
No money amount.
No money.
Okay, well, we'll see what the moderator says.
Select board, and we'll talk to the moderator.
Steve?
I just, go ahead.
Kim, how is your group doing in looking for sources for the money for the big grant?
We've had very preliminary conversations with Dan Gessen, who's our representative to the Barnstable County Assembly. Dan's position is essentially, this is a great idea, it's a great project. He wants to see how much money the town comes up with, and then he would be willing to go to the Barnstable County Assembly and try to add to what the town is willing to spend. We've also had conversations here, and I'm spending a fair amount of time on this, talking to people in other towns about the possibility of an Upper Cape regional project, which has a lot of appeal. Dan was very excited about that. He felt that, we both felt that it would be easier for us to get our 75 people if we had people from Bourne, Sandwich, Mashpee, and Falmouth. We would also have a greater likelihood of securing county dollars. We might have a better chance of securing perhaps state or even EPA dollars. And of course, then you would also have more visibility for urine diversion in these other towns if other people were engaged in the project. But we have not had, haven't had time to really do, a search for money. I would ask, and I'm glad to do a lot of legwork. It's a town project, it's not my project. So, and our project, so whatever assistance the town could give in helping us search for dollars would be extremely helpful. I'm glad to help, Hilda and Earl are glad to help, but we would ask for any assistance from the town, and folks who go out and seek grant money for different purposes. But I do think there are some possible funds out there.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that. I guess I'm not opposed to this, but I have serious reservations about the town funding the big project. Just to give you a flavor of it, it's my assumption that Brian Baumgartel, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and his technician are full-time county employees. And so it seems a little odd for one of the towns to be subsidizing their pay. That's just a contribution from the town to the county.
Well, you'd be contracting with them to perform a study for your town. And so they're not going to do that.
I don't want to get into
They're not doing that on their existing budget. If you're asking them to do something beyond what they're doing now, then it's like signing a contract with any consultant who you're asking to do work that they're,
But it's
they'd be performing work for the town of
Falmouth. Their
Falmouth.
organization, like a university, where the professors are expected to go out and get grants. I don't think the county is that hard up, that it has to act like a university. But I don't want to waste people's
Yeah.
time on that now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Just one moment here, okay, I'm gonna come back to you. Can you read the motion back?
Ken moved to support the article. He thinks it's the right start to take, and Tom seconded it.
I think we need
You
to
would
be a little.
like better
bit more-
language?
Yeah, I think there's a draft amendment, but I don't think, know that we're voting support for the amendment, we're voting the concept.
Correct.
I think we're voting for the concept that,
No,
they
we're
will request
voting,
$80,000.
we're
at town
actually
meeting.
voting to support the amendment to Article 13.
For a request for $80,000.
Right.
Okay.
From certified free cash.
I would leave out the certified free cash, because let the town figure out where the money's coming
Okay,
from.
fair
okay?
enough.
Because if we vote one way and then they take
Yep,
the money from
no,
different.
I think
okay,
that's wise.
That's fine, I just want to be, you second the clarified amendment?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Instead of supporting, I like the verb endorsing. It sounds a
Good
little-
with that,
a little more.
although.
Is that a modified amendment now that we're endorsing?
No, we don't need to make it. I'll accept it as a modification to his motion.
Okay. Ed, you haven't spoken up yet, but you've been running a little working group.
Yes.
Where are they at with this?
Well, and one question I've got for Kim is, do you have a consultant in mind where you came up with this $110 an hour rate? Or is that just a?
Yeah, I
guess?
think there are two consulting firms that we know that we feel are pretty uniquely qualified to do this. One would be Nutrient Networks and Connor Lally, who's the one who did this study for my wife and I, for our house. Connor knows more about urine diversion and composting toilets, eco toilets, than anybody I've ever met. And we think the other qualified folks would be Rich Earth Institute. Rich Earth Institute does a lot of home assessments. They do a lot of education. They do a lot of installations of these kinds of appliances. So those two seem to be the sort of most likely candidates for this consulting work. And again, these are fairly specialized skills.
And these are their standard going rates for such work?
Yeah, these are going rates. I'd be interested in what the town pays consultants who are doing work for the town. I don't know what Science Wares is being paid hourly. I don't know what engineers are being paid hourly. I don't know what. I think for the skills these people have, $110 an hour is eminently reasonable. But that could be part of a negotiation with them.
Yeah, but I just was wondering if you had specific quotation or.
I spoke to both of them about
Yep.
what they thought a reasonable hourly rate would be when I was putting this together. And this seemed like a reasonable hourly rate.
Yeah, I was going to, and I will give some more info when we get to members' report, but, in answer to one of your questions, Steve, the funding sources are, sure that we'll be looking at for the larger program, Town of Falmouth, Barnstable County. I've had communication with Cape Cod Commission. We had gotten a lead on some possible funding source through that, and that looks very promising under what's called like a Delta program. State-funded, granted annually, a lump of money to municipalities that have a program that they want to ask for funds to support. And going through the Cape Cod Commission website, you can see a lot of the previous funded projects, including like the Davis Strait Initiative here in Falmouth. That was done through this Delta program at Cape Cod Commission. So and there's also, state and federal funding that may be appropriate.
Right.
We're a long way from defining the nuts and bolts of the program, the larger scale. I think to have participants that are ready, willing, and able to learn more about this, not necessarily do it, but are committed enough to say, all right, we'll let you in my house and look at it. One of the things I think that'll be a little difficult is you look at what can be done, you may come up with something that would not be allowed under the, DEP or plumbing board guidance. I've had conversations with the executive director of the plumbing board and have a feel for what they would accept and not accept. There's things in the Mass Tech proposal that I know they would not accept. neither plumbing board nor DEP. And that includes incinerating toilets and things like cubies. So that can be ancillary data collection methodology to the core program that would go to DEP.
Right.
But those types of devices would not, so I think in that assessment, it's got to be looking at max and min potential, the easy devices
Right.
and the most complex, to see what would fit, so.
Right. Let me just comment on that, and that is that, as you know, I have a bit of a different sort of paradigm on this project. And I know from your perspective, it's about DEP, it's about TMDLs, it's about what are the efficacious methodologies for addressing the TMDLs. We're on ponds that are never going to be sewered. And as I said at our event, right now, 89% of us are dependent on septics. And 20 years from now, 72% of us will still be dependent on something other than sewers. So for us, this project presents an opportunity to introduce urine diversion to people who don't live near the coast, and people who live around ponds, and who may prefer. So I would say, I would ask you to consider if DEP is saying, or people are saying, or the state is saying, an incinerating toilet sort of doesn't fit within this project, I might push back on that. And the Cinderella incinerating toilet is an approved appliance in Massachusetts by the state. It's got state approvals, and people are installing them. So I just hope that we can have a slightly bigger lens about this project, and not, and not restrict it to the sort of DEP goals for the estuaries, and just think more broadly about that there's an opportunity to introduce urine diversion and assess urine diversion town-wide.
I think you make the good point that's very key in this discussion is there is what the mandate of this committee is.
Right.
Clean up the estuaries,
Right.
address TMDL.
Right.
That requires a program for reducing nitrogen that would give us some number, hopefully, that DEP would say, okay, if you put in one of these in a household, we'll give you half that household's normal nitrogen load based on all their tables that they have.
Right.
The other very important one, and that's why I would support or endorse this, is the ponds. Recognizing the problem of the ponds and urine diversion can be a great tool to address that.
Right.
Possibly, hopefully, for the estuaries, but most certainly for the ponds.
Right.
And I think it makes sense for a commitment from the town to start something like this and realize that it is for two purposes. The methodology and who would work in the pond thing, I think, we've had dialogues, a number of us, about the need for a pond working group.
Right.
Pond health, freshwater pond, whatever they would title it.
Right.
Advisory board to the selectmen that would get heavily involved with this. So I think that makes sense. The other thing that may be problematic, and you might want to think about that some, is right now you're asking Falmouth to throw a number behind us, $80,000, purely out of Falmouth funds because it's initial and there isn't time right now to get other sources. Maybe there is, maybe there's some grants out there that might be helpful from the federal government, federal programs. But if you're looking at households outside of Falmouth,
Right.
that may be problematic.
Right.
In the larger program that we're looking at for the DEP project, we certainly, to get to the 75 that would put in a hard plumb device that would give us meaningful data, we would be looking at countywide.
Right.
But right now, for this one, where you're saying, hey, Falmouth, this is all on your nickel, and we want to spend some of it in Mashpee or Bourne,
Right.
that might be problematic.
So just to be reassuring, we have been totally clear with people in Sandwich and Bourne, including with officials in those towns, that if people from those towns participate, those towns are going to pay the freight for their participants. Falmouth is not going to pay for someone from Sandwich or Mashpee to participate in this program. We would need to decide whether we don't allow them to attend an informational meeting that was going to be held anyway, or is it restricted to Falmouth residents? But we have been really clear that if anyone from another town is going to participate, they got to pay their own way, or their town has to come up with the funding for that.
Yeah, for the assessment.
Yeah, for the assessments, for
Yeah.
the subsidies,
Yeah, I think
and,
that-
and a share, and a pro rata share of all of the overhead of this project. A pro rata share. If you have 5% of the people participating, you got to pay 5% of all of the overhead for this project, not just for subsidies.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's important for that to be ready for questions that might come at
Yes.
town meeting floor.
Yes.
So, good, you're prepared.
Okay.
Mike, if I'm going to chime in if it does. I just want to procedurally make sure that we're all very clear here. If this becomes a positive vote on town meeting floor, it now becomes a town project. Right now, there's a real limitation on town staff and staff availability to jump into this project. We have an article on town meeting floor to add a position in the wastewater division, but that will not get funded till April when there's the budget component. So while we may achieve success in getting funding for doing this,
Yeah.
the process to get out with requests for proposals or qualifications and/or identify a staff person and a mechanism for actually implementing this and monitoring it will not happen the day after
Right,
town meeting. It will
right.
take some determination. So I know that we want to keep moving as quickly as we can, and I'm going to remain committed to moving as quickly as we can, but
Thank you.
there's going to need to be a little bit of patience about getting through
Yes.
the bureaucracy
Yes.
and the process that we have to go
Yes.
through. okay?
One of the benefits you have is that, and other people have, and I know Ed is familiar with it, the RFP that was written in 2012 is excellent.
Yeah, we have something to start
And a
with.
lot of that RFP can be dusted off and reused for this project in looking for consultants and other kind of services. We're not starting from scratch.
Or not. Just wanted to point out that for
Yeah.
people that are listening in or whatever, that there's
Got it.
getting some money is
Yes.
good. Getting a program organized, even around something as, well, it seems to be as simple as looking at 75 homes and advising people what it might mean, takes some time to get to the point where people are comfortable with who we hire,
Right.
comfortable with how the money's going to be spent, and being able to monitor how the money's spent to be sure it's efficient, okay? All right?
But we won't make any progress unless there is at least the potential
I understand.
of
I
a
just-
funding source
again,
to help
I'm
support.
talking out to the general population that might be watching at
Right.
9:30 or 11:30 or 1:30 this morning on Falmouth Community Television, okay?
Yeah. Got it.
What we're talking about, okay. Steve?
Kim, I'm glad that you and Ed clarified what I'd been assuming, which is these certainly could be applied to estuaries. I mean, I look at it as an alternative to an IA. If IAs worked for an estuary, then in principle, if people were willing to, when you worked everything out, you could use urine diverting toilets. And so what if someone brought up at town meeting, why doesn't this come out of the Water Quality Management Committee budget? What would the response be?
We have no budget.
You just sent it around the other day, there's money.
No,
there.
I sent around funding articles that have been used to pay for things with the water quality management. We are not a line item budget.
Okay, then use the AFC money, the money that we have appropriated, like a water quality, many appropriations that we've
Well,
made
that
in the
could be an
past.
amendment that someone might propose on the floor if they don't like the funding source, but
But it could happen in principle, right?
In principle,
Okay. Oh, no, I just had a Machiavellian idea that you could say that we will pay it from those funds if Article 6 passes. And I won't
that's
say
very
anything more.
Machiavellian.
all right, I think it's time to call a vote on this. All those in favor of supporting an amendment on the floor to request $80,000 to evaluate 75 homes. I'm paraphrasing it, but I think we all know what we're voting on. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It's a unanimous vote. Good job, Kim.
Steal your pen for a second.
Long way to go, though.
To start.
Yeah. I did not have a chance to get home between everything else I did today, so I don't have the letter in front of me. Do you have a copy of the most recent letter?
Printed? No.
No.
I have it on my
Is this
phone.
the same letter that we signed?
It's
We
been
don't know, we signed
modified a
something,
little
but we got
bit.
modified because we amended it, so I'm trying to find the original letter.
Here's,
Is that the, is
I
that?
think it's up to date and
Okay.
proper. It's still labeled revision 5 in my files.
There's another page with the signatures on it. Where is it?
Right, I don't have that with me, no.
I printed a blank page for
With
signatures.
signatures? I don't have one with
We
signatures.
did
We all
sign,
signed it.
I didn't get that.
this is the one I
Yeah.
took off that you sent out today, or
I don't think
yesterday.
I signed it.
This is what he
because I don't
wanted.
think
This
that was
is
it.
the
text.
latest one that Kristen sent
Yeah,
out.
that's fine.
Yeah,
I was looking to get everybody to sign it because
I don't have the signature page.
formatted different.
I did not print the signature page.
No problem.
Save
This gives us each an excuse to say, well, I didn't sign that.
That's fine.
I printed the signature page because I didn't know you guys signed last time, but Jordan's not here.
Tom,
Yes,
are you home between 10:30 and 1:30 tomorrow?
tomorrow's Thursday, yes, 10:30. And
John? Are you home?
are you going to collect signatures,
Yeah, I'm
going
gonna
door to
drive, I'm
door?
gonna drive around house to house and get the signatures. Steve?
I will not be home. I may be at MBL.
I can find you. So we'll get the signature on it, and then I'll bring it over to you, Amy, and we'll get the thing
That
printed.
seems inefficient.
How do you want me to do it right now?
I don't know.
Oh, is this the letter? This is.
It is, but there's a page for us to sign.
Right, and she's got it.
Oh, you do have the
She's
signature?
I
got
have a blank one. That's what I came prepared with.
Good. All right,
Between the two of us, Kristen, we got it.
all right. Start at that end.
But where's the text?
The text is on your phone if you,
Right, the text I
from the
sent out.
email.
There's the text.
All
What
I
were
have
the
is a-
changes, maybe, whoever made the changes, just for? so Steve
There was
doesn't have to
there was
read
some clarification about the amount of money
Right.
in the article, because we're only asking for so much in the article because we got that portion out of the AFC.
it. Right.
I think it was paragraph 4 where it said $7,000, right? That was the,
That was the one last change.
yeah.
You, Tom, or
7,000 or 700,000?
700,000.
Yeah. Says 700K in the text.
That's 1,000.
So on the inefficient side of this,
Should I still wait for you at home tomorrow, Steve? Or not?
you guys are all around. I've got your phone number. If I need to run around.
Are we having these notarized? Sorry.
so what happened to the other one?
The other signatures, I don't know. They were used on a bill of lading.
Steve, it's being used in some Bitcoin transactions that are
Yeah.
going on in southern Asia
Okay,
right
it's
now.
all under Tom's credit card, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
This is like when the governor signs it with multiple pens, souvenirs. Do we have to use the same pen?
No, use any pen you want. Back to you, John.
Kristen, if what you sent around was accurate, there's a paragraph return, or a separation missing.
What?
Just looking at the text.
What are you looking
Where?
at,
The
Ken?
line that says, below we address some of the concerns residents raised about April 25th Springtown meeting this year.
You want a
All the
space
other
in there?
paragraphs have space between them, that one does not.
But that's fine, that's,
Well, I think since everything else is space,
But-
there should be space.
That messes up the signature page.
yeah, I think we're gonna go with what we've got, Ken, because we're going into a different section of the statement.
It has nothing to do with the content, it's just,
I thought that Tom was our grammatician.
Ken's working with them now.
yeah, he's my neighbor.
What do you want?
The signature page.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can look at it.
Take any notes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't know what happened. I think I left my pen on my desk. and I ran out.
Goes back
No,
to
actually,
Kristen.
I should have
I
it
think
because
that should go
I'm
over
gonna,
there.
I'm gonna print the other portion, but I'm gonna go over the DPW tomorrow to, start
Yeah.
getting copies printed and distributed.
Want the rest of it or no?
Ken, we can
I'm gonna
discuss the
print it.
physical layout later.
Well, it's a small thing.
Yeah.
We'll make the margins deeper on that one page. Okay. All right, the next agenda item has to do with the fact that the town this year has stacked precincts up.
Are you going to say something about the timing of the letter, when it goes
Yeah.
out, and when we call, and all that sort of thing?
You're gonna all get copies back of tomorrow. I'm gonna see if I can arrange for a mass mailing, based upon the addresses that are in that. And then it's just follow-up.
And when is town meeting?
Town meeting's the
In
13th,
November.
so.
So
yeah,
we have
next
very
week,
little time.
it'll be fresh in everybody's mind, which is good.
Yeah, I think that is when you want to do it.
You anticipate mailing, what, a week from now roughly, or 2 weeks?
No, Friday or Monday,
Okay. Or next week they should have it then.
Friday or Monday. Okay. You ready? Move on. So, I need to get some volunteers to help cover different precinct meetings. Amy and I have been putting together some fact sheets that most of you have probably seen one way or another. But we need you to be prepared to talk about things like why the TASA project's a good project, why utilizing the beds is not going to create an environmental disaster. In fact, it's probably almost unmeasurable, and why the money that's coming for the outfall fits into an overall plan of that. So if you're not up to speed, please reach back out to me or Amy or whatever. And make sure you've got the information you need. So precinct 1 and 2,
Well, I normally go to that anyway.
you're volunteering to cover it, Ken?
Sure.
Okay.
I go to that. Steve,
Well, hold on a second.
ask a
Ken-
question.
Go ahead.
I mean, at precinct 1 and 2, we make a point, we're not discussing the articles
That's
that are
true.
due on.
No, you're just,
We only
It's
answer
answering
questions.
you're just there to answer questions. You're there for information,
Yeah.
okay? All right. Precinct 3,
I've got it,
Ed?
already booked with them.
Ed J is on for that. Amy, you were looking for somebody to go, you're gonna go to precinct 3 as well?
I was planning to go to all the precinct meetings.
Well, it's an impossibility the way it's set up.
Well, but you can't, right, I can't be there for all of them, but my plan was to be there.
Okay. Precinct 4 and 7 is on Tuesday, November 7th.
I could do that one, or I'd prefer to do the 9th.
You wanna do the precinct 8 and 9, Steve?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
No, 5 and 6. I'm
5
sorry,
and
the
6?
9th of November. That was changed to the
I'd
9th
like
of
to be
November.
available.
That was changed to November 9th?
Correct.
Okay, I'll sign you up for precinct 5 and 6, Steve. Okay,
I'd like to be at 5 and 6 too.
okay? I'm willing to take 4 and 7. Who hasn't, oh, if we cover, we have a couple of double ups here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly, it sounds like we're almost overmanned for the 9th, the West Falmouth, the 5 and 6. But that's,
Might be good.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
yeah, that's going to be
Well,
pretty
you know,
exciting.
It's not to debate, it's to answer any technical type questions.
Sure.
You want to come along with me on the November 2nd, a Thursday?
Sure.
Okay.
So, Steve, you're doing 5 and 6, and so are John? Should I sign up for that also, or
Which
not?
one's that?
Precinct 5 and 6.
5 and 6 on the
5 and 6 has
9th.
got Steve Layton and John Waterbury already.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Do you think, is a third going to be too many? I don't want to use the word overkill.
No, right now, I'm going to cover precinct 4 and 7 on the 7th. You want to go to that one with me?
I'm out of town until the night
That's fine.
of the 6th, so Monday night, the 6th, I'm due
I
back.
think 4 and 7 is probably not the hotbed of opposition. I've
Well,
been
you
wrong
need to make
before.
sure you have somebody for precinct 8 and 9
So,
before
so I'm
you.
gonna run down the list. Precinct 1 and 2, Ken Foreman has said he's gonna cover it. You're probably there anyways, John, right? Okay. I think I'm probably there as well. Precinct 3, Ed wants to do that. Precinct 4 and 7 is me. Precinct 5 and 6 is Steve Layton and John Waterbury. Okay? That's on the 9th now. And precinct 8 and 9 is out at the fairgrounds, and that's me and Ed again. So I think we've got coverage.
Just clarification, now precinct 3, it says 6:30. As of this morning, the precinct captain says, no, it is at 7 o'clock. So he and the town clerk have to duke it out, and
That's fine.
they can arm wrestle over it, but it's either 6:30 or 7. He says 7, and it's his meeting, so.
Yeah, and so if you have an assignment, I think you can easily jump online, and you can find out who the precinct captain is, and just reach out to them and tell them who you are and that you intend to be there.
The latest email came from Michael Palmer and says 7 PM.
Oh, we changed it back to 7 for precinct 3?
Is that, is
For all
that,
of
is
them.
that
They're all
today?
at
Is
seven.
Oh,
that-
okay,
is that
because
today?
there was
When did
one
that
from
come
him
out?
that said
It was the
6:30.
same one. Oh, no, you're right. This is not the one where he fixed the date.
They can fight it out, but
Right.
the captain said it's a 7 o'clock meeting. I'll be there at 6:30 anyway to caucus.
Okay,
So, you're saying you'd rather I not show up for West Falmouth, right? You've got
You'll send us an email.
Steve Layton and John Waterbury, right?
you are welcome to go. I just didn't want to overload.
Yeah, I don't know how crowded these things are. I mean, I'm glad, willing to go and answer.
Put yourself on the list.
All right.
You know? All right. The next item on our agenda would be reports of members and staff. I'm gonna,
Steve,
kind
before
of,
you
go ahead.
move on, someone mentioned calling, but I thought we were emailing the members after the letter went out.
Whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Okay, because there are no phone numbers on this list.
I thought I republished it.
He did.
Do I have,
That would be good.
I
if
did
you have-
republish it. I will republish it again.
okay.
Have you-
I guess I grabbed the wrong sheet then.
Did you email it, or did
So
you?
this is actually something, what group are you? Are you the first group or the second group?
It's on the town website, under town meeting precinct.
I have them all here if
Right,
you
but-
want a copy.
There's a list with the emails and the phone numbers.
Okay,
Right, but Steve gave us certain assigned.
Yeah, we did the
we were assigned,
So on your sheet there should be a spot where you're like the first group, second group, third group. No?
Ben Sort 2.
I
So
know
Tom is
Ken Forman's
2.
on my list.
I'm number 2.
Voting in favor of this.
John, do you have yours listed? Do you know what you are?
I don't remember offhand. I'll go back and look.
Check it when you can and send me an email, just, 'cause
If you
I
can
forgot to jot down what-
tell us, if you can tell us who is each group, then we can do
That's what I'm trying to get to.
baseball card trading.
You're one. Steve L is one.
No, you already told me I was 4.
Oh, you got the full set.
I have the full set.
Oh, Steve L is 4, okay.
Big
But
numbers.
I'd like to know who the other,
Yeah.
I don't know which one this is. This
You're
is my
5, this
son.
is you? You're 6.
Which group?
Sort
Who's-
6.
What's Ken?
I don't know. Ken, we'll figure it out.
the only way to figure it out is if you know the names on yours.
I passed this to you one day, right?
I don't
passed it
think
to
I
you.
got that one. Does that have phone numbers?
No, but that
No, it
was
doesn't have phone numbers, but over here it's got
Precinct,
your
it's
bin
a
number.
group
So
of
if you can email me your
precincts
bin
in
number,
each group.
can you find it,
Right,
okay?
I've been looking for it. Well, we know all the other ones.
Okay, you can figure it out.
Steve, do you have the group assignments? Do you have the group assignments there?
I'm trying to sort it out because I forgot when I distributed it to write down who
Did John
took
get
each sheet.
Extracted.
So I'll get there in the next day or so. All right. Okay.
Did he get the,
On the sure.
I wonder if he got the,
You need to go to the microphone so that
Never had
all
the
the
shot.
folks at home can appreciate you.
Yeah, John Kaufman,
Thank you,
East
John.
Falmouth. Last month, we talked about sharing this letter more broadly with the population of Falmouth through maybe the Falmouth Enterprise or something as a means
good
to
idea.
educate and take away the rumor mill that happens around these topics of sewering or not sewering. Is there still a plan to
Yeah.
try to publish this letter
Yes.
so everybody can see it?
Yes, yes. So I had got a request at the start of this meeting to allow somebody from the planning board, one of the planning board members, to identify a petitioner's article. It's not on the agenda, so if I recognize him to actually talk to what came before the planning board, we can't discuss it, but we can become informed, okay? So if there's no objection from any board member for allowing a planning board member to describe a planning board article that's in front of them, it's a petitioner's article, I would entertain a motion to allow him to
So moved.
present. Okay, so moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Thank you. My name is Paul Trier on the planning board. I've not prepared any, excuse me, I've not prepared anything for tonight, but I do have a document here. There's a petition proposed by Mike Duffany about changing some modifications affecting wastewater in certain areas. The planning board discussed it last night, and there is a memo from Peter McConaughey suggesting that any adjustment be made with sufficient time and diligence, and that's exactly what we did last night. At the planning board meeting, we voted to indefinite postpone of this article, with all due respect to Mr. Duffany. But what I would like to do is have some input from the Water Quality Management Committee on your position on this particular article.
we can put it in as
I'll
a,
read a copy of this.
we can put it in as an agenda item at some point and have a
Perhaps you can bring
conversation.
it up to your next meeting.
Okay.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Paul, can you provide Kristen with your paperwork? Or do you want to keep it?
I'll go out and make a copy, I'll bring it back.
Okay. Or you could email it to her. We're at the part where we have a lot of fun here, which is reports of members and staff and committee. Very quickly, I am on the agenda, or we are on the agenda Monday night relative to the request to use AFC funding for another year worth of monitoring and sampling at the PRB over at the Acapesket. I don't see that as controversial or anything, but I just want to let you know that that did get onto the selectmen's agenda for Monday night.
What's the amount?
40, 30?
I was gonna say, not more than 7,000.
It was not a big number. It was-
Yeah, it's a small number.
What's left in the AFC? We pretty well hit it.
I think I distributed everybody the,
75,000, I think,
Yeah.
roughly.
What I distributed took that into account, took the 6,500 into account.
that was already presumed that it would pass through, Tom. Okay? All right.
When we exhaust that, can we get another 8 million?
You have anything to report?
No.
Steve? Outfall, on the outfall side, I guess I should, normally John would be my man to go to this, but Amy did reach back out to the USGS folks who had previously given us a proposal. We have AFC funding available, and I believe we're either signing contracts or we'll be shortly signing contracts with them. Keeping in mind that the town's paying, I'll probably mess this up, 80,000 and the USGS is
30,000.
spending 30,000 on this. They're getting started, and we expect that the work they're doing will take them, by and large, from now through the summer, but end of summer or early fall, we hope to at least have a sense of what an outfall means to the Sagamore lens, and that will become a decision point for where we go over time. But I felt it was good to get it started and moving, and that's the latest on the outfall we've done. Nothing else beyond that, other than we did get a second proposal in from GZA relative to the cost for marine borings. We've not really evaluated that or compared it. But that wouldn't get contracted till after we knew where we were going with the USGS. And that work would be likely happening next fall, not anytime sooner for the Marine moorings. Okay, Tom?
Just a minor point, while the outfall is sort of on the table, we've sort of switched our terminology to referring to an offshore outfall. And Gilda, if you make sure the Enterprise going forth refers to it as a offshore outfall, because there was a letter to the Enterprise a week ago complaining that Vineyard Sound wasn't the ocean, and he's completely correct. He was wrong on another point, but he was correct that Vineyard Sound is not the ocean. So anyway, just great, thank you. And don't get me started on Falmouth Inner Harbor, because the Enterprise misses the boat completely on that. Anyway.
You ready, Ed?
I'm ready.
We've got an hour and a half.
I won't even take a small fraction of that. Quick update on the urine diversion working group. We've had a second meeting. We'll meet again next week. Seem to be on an every 2-week schedule. We're finding that possible alternatives, funding, I mentioned the Delta Cape Cod Commission. We also need to contact county government. Had a very productive email dialogue with the Cape Cod Commission, and that does look like a realistic potential source for some funding on the whole study. I did have a discussion with, on the 16th, with the Executive Director of Mass Plumbing Board, introduced myself, the program, the purpose of this committee and our study. He's receptive, but he explained, some of the technical things that are in front of us to overcome to make this happen. And I'm not going to get into a bunch of details until this is an agenda item, but there are a lot of things we have to bring into place to make this happen. Potential devices that we could use, we're finding there are very few available, and one of the best, most promising one has been discontinued. The Dovleton, or I have trouble pronouncing it, but that device is no longer manufactured. It looked very, very promising, but you can't get them. They stopped making them. They broke the molds. We've received, as everyone now knows, the updated MassTech proposal late on Friday. Too late to make it an agenda item, but it will be discussed at our working group. Through the Pond Coalition Forum, great event. I went primarily to look at devices, had a long chat with Rich Earth. They are actively looking to help us identify devices that would fit our program. It's kind of different from what they've been doing in theirs, but they understand where we're coming from, what we're looking for, and they have contacts all over the world, really. So they're out there trying to help us out. So that was very helpful, great event that Kim and his folks put together. So that's it.
Well, that's good. All right. Our next agenda item is, I think this is you, Tom. You've reviewed the minute? Oh, go ahead.
You don't want comments on the, that proposal at this time, right?
It just came in on Friday. It's not an agenda item.
Okay.
Okay, it'll probably be on the next meeting or the meeting after that. No. Tom, you read the minutes? I read the minutes?
I read the minutes, I sieved the minutes, I picked at the minutes, and Kristen, I think, brought it all up to speed, and so I'm going to move that they be accepted as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on the minutes from last meeting? I realize that we don't post the minutes till after they've been approved, so knowing that a number of you show up regularly at these meetings, if there's something that you see in the minutes when they finally get posted, I'd like to create down the road an opportunity for somebody to say, omissions are one thing, but it's misrepresentations are another thing, and we can always reopen minutes to
Yes.
to correct them later. So it's not a sealed and done thing. So as we go forward, Chris, I just want to, now that we're getting a little more participation and we're the #1 show on Falmouth Community Television once again, we want to be sure that people have an opportunity. So there's a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I abstain, wasn't here.
Okay, John's abstaining. So noted. And then last of the evening is Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn, or do we just want to hang out for
Let's just
another
keep
hour?
going.
When are your next meeting dates? You wanted to discuss November
Oh,
meeting
that's
dates.
good, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So I don't see right now a pressing need to try to squeeze a meeting in before town meeting unless others on the board feel differently. And so I would then suggest if town meeting is on the 13th, that we meet the following week, okay?
Well, don't forget about Thanksgiving.
Is that one of those pagan holidays? Or is
Yeah.
it- Yeah, okay. No, I don't think that falls on Thanksgiving. I think that's the week
Yes, it
before
does.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, I believe, is the 23rd.
Yeah.
So that, the week after town meeting is Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Right. Unless
No
we.
way.
Yeah. The month is shot.
So don't be a turkey. Schedule it for the week of the 27th.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have a pressing agenda. I mean, we're not backed up right now.
No, the thing, yeah. So we could, after that is,
Yeah, so we do a meeting then, and then do a
That would be
meeting
the
early in
30th?
December.
well, no, the
29th.
29th of November
29th.
would be our Wednesday of that week after
Right.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And then I'm saying, we'll come back, maybe we block out an early week in December momentarily in case things stack up on us. But we can move it but by a week.
Okay, but right now, we're scheduling for the 29th.
Correct,
But
correct.
29th of November.
November.
4:30, right here.
Okay. Hopefully, we won't be back
I
up.
thank everybody for their work on the committee. I thank the public for participating, and, you know, we're making progress, sometimes not as fast as everybody wants, but at least we're making progress.
Move to adjourn.
Steve, I think Hilda has before we adjourn,
So it will be next month, that, another month from now, before we discuss the MassTech new proposal?
Yes, I imagine that right now we don't have much in the way of agenda items, so that's the big one. Okay? That's.
It'll probably get discussed in your working day.
the
yeah, oh,
working-
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the
We'll
working.
keep working.
the working
We don't
group's
take
working.
holidays.
And the idea is that the working comes back to this committee with the working group's sense, and then we start to deal with it. Yep.
And they beat us up.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, Kristen, you'll probably pick out your first estuary that you want to talk about things on. So right now, unless there's something big pops up, that's where we're at.
Okay.
Did we vote on
Now
that?
can I move to adjourn?
I
But
don't
you need a
to vote. I
second.
don't think we need to vote, it just gets posted. Right, do we have to vote on the meetings? No, it just gets posted, yeah, okay. All right. There's a motion made and seconded to get out of here. Anybody else in favor?
Yeah,
Aye.
Aye.
we're done.
Good. Good work.
Tut fini, as we say on
You're going to
Francais.
give us each all the names. So in other words, if I see
Yeah.
there's somebody on that list, I can call them up.
It doesn't hurt for somebody to get two calls.
I looked through it, it's good. I mean, it looks.